More changes are being eyed to the controversial Maharlika Investment Fund bill amid concerns from both government officials and private sectors.
So far, one of the biggest changes in the bill is the removal of the GSIS and SSS as contributors. Marian Enriquez with a big story.
Marikina Representative Stella Kimbo proposed more amendments to the Maharlika Wealth Fund bill. She said the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas shall eventually remit 100% of its dividends to the MWF.
Ang suggestion is until ma-fund yung Maharlika Wealth Fund, yun muna ang puntahan ng mga dividends ng BSP. Pagka napondohan na yun, magkaroon naman ng sharing agreement para ma-address yung capitalization needs ng BSP, so 50-50. And then once fully capitalized ng BSP, yung declared dividends of BSP may be earmarked again to the Maharlika Wealth Fund.
Recall that the proponents earlier announced that pension funds won't be used for the MWF, at least for now. This means the initial fund for the MWF will now be sourced from government financial institutions. The BSP meanwhile raised concerns about the proposed exemptions of Land Bank and Development Bank of the Philippines from regulatory restrictions.
The proposed exemption of DBP and LBP from applicable regulations may lead to undercalculation of their overall risk profile and may adversely affect the safety and soundness of their operations.
PAGCOR and other government-owned gaming corporations shall also contribute 10% of their gross revenue streams.
May we also request that the funding be limited for a period of 2 years only to enable PAGCOR to support the funding requirements of the universal health care.
The House Appropriations Committee approved Kimbo's proposed amendments for MWF fund sources. Kimbo also proposed that instead of the sitting president, the finance secretary shall serve as chairman of the board. Kimbo also wants 7 members to represent the fund contributors. Their seats will depend on the size of their investment. Kimbo also proposed to have 4 independent directors from the private sector in MWF board. Lawmakers will discuss the proposed changes to the MWF board composition during their next hearing. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Here to give his take on the latest developments regarding the Maharlika Investment Fund bill, we have on the line Senate Minority Leader Senator Kiko Pimentel. Good evening, sir, and welcome to the big story.
Mayang gabi, kaninyong tanan. I'm glad to be with a big story. Well, that's not really a big story. They keep on changing their minds, and I think that is not the way to propose a very important entity to be created, no? The Sovereign Wealth Fund. I think they should have brainstormed this properly before filing, and then they're discussing all the changes in public. It confuses the people.
Okay, but sir, let's discuss the amendments to this bill. What are your thoughts about the amendments on certain provisions, including their decision to remove GSIS and SSS from the contributors? Are these a step, or are this step in the right direction?
In the first place, we are being led into discussing concepts which are secondary, the sources of the funds. The first question is, do we really need this sovereign wealth fund right now? And can we afford it? Can we afford to do so? And then is corruption no longer an issue here in the Philippines? So these are the basic questions first. Tignan mo, they paid attention to sources of funds first, and then turns out that they made a big mistake, because these are assets which are not even owned by the government or the republic or of the republic, but of private individuals. So wag muna yan po ang tanong natin. Ang tanong natin ano ba itong sovereign wealth fund? Sino ba makikinabang dito at can afford pa tayo gawin ito? Dapat ito kasi ang Sovereign Wealth Fund is a fund, is a funding mechanism for a government of a state which has surpluses. May extra money ka bago mo po to iniisip. So are we already in that league? I don't think so. So yan na muna po ang sagutin nila kaysa sa pumupunta na sila sa detalye na kabago-bago naman ang isip nila. Alam mo niyo kung bakit pabago-bago isip nila? Kasi hindi nila sinasagot yung basic question.
Yeah. But having said that, Senator, what do you see as the next step for the proposed MWF or Maharlika Welfare Fund bill? Do we see it being filed in the Senate soon? Also, we would like to.
Number one, I am not a supporter of their idea. Okay, so I advise them to develop your idea first properly, so we can debate it well in the Senate. Okay, so pagdating sa Senate po niyan, we will really have to debate the concept very well. So far, wala pa naman. No one has filed, I think, a similar bill in the Senate. So we'll just wait for it to reach the Senate and we'll subject it to extensive questioning. Pero we will start with that, with that basic concept. What is this sovereign wealth fund that you are proposing? Why is the name? Why did you use that name? Do we really have a surplus or a windfall which we can use? So, yeah, and then corruption, of course. Alam mo na political culture in the Philippines. So the corruption, paano? So this might only be another avenue for leakage of public funds.
So marami pa talagang discussions na gagawin. Thank you for joining us this evening, Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel. Now, to get more insights on the Maharlika Wealth Fund, we now have over the line House Senior Deputy Minority Leader Paul Daza. Sir, magandang gabi po sa inyo. Welcome to the big story.
Good evening. Maupayng gabi sa iyong tanan.
Okay, sir, una sa lahat, what do you think of the amendments made on the Maharlika Wealth Fund? Binago yung mga sources, wala ng GSIS, wala ng SSS, and yung Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas will remit 100% dividends to the Maharlika funds. What do you think of this, sir?
Yeah, I think I speak for many, if not most of the members in the House, whether in the minority or majority. I think most of us think there are good intentions, but the bill needed improvement. And that's why I'm personally grateful. In fact, I've spoken to many of my colleagues sa House na maganda yung mga amendments na ginawa. For example, yung GSIS, SSS, hindi na ngayon pwedeng gamitin. Okay, now, may isang development kanina sa Committee on Appropriations, which I support, na hindi na ang President ang magiging chairman of the Board of Directors pag natuluyan. Sabi ko nga kanina na counterproductive kung ang President, chairman, dahil no-win situation yon. Pag kumita yung fund, diba, sasabihin ng mga tao, pinagkitaan. Pag nalugi, sisisihin yung ang president. So sabi ko, magandang amendment yon, i-layer natin ang president. Because if this bill passes, we're not speaking of just the Marcos administration. It will be next, generations to come. So yun yung isang magandang improvement, which I support. Propose ni Vice Chair Kimbo, the original bill had 2 independent directors. She's now proposing 4. I proposed 8 out of the 15. Nasabi ko dapat majority ng board independent and dapat hindi appointed ng president para talagang truly independent.
Right. And what other Maharlika Wealth Fund bill revisions do you plan to push through during deliberations at the House of Representatives?
Well, this morning, when we had the Committee on Appropriations hearing on it, I voiced out my objection that the national budget, or what we call the general appropriations, be used as a source of funding for the Maharlika. Yan yung medyo hindi na pag-uusapan na dapat malaman ng taong bayan. So I said na essentially deficit spending tayo, muutang tayo para lang mapuno yung annual budget. Kulang-kulang pa, kulang tayo ng eskwelahan, kulang tayo ng increase ng sweldo ng mga teachers, kulang tayo ng mga hospital, mga clinic, kalsada. Bakit natin gagamitin yung national budget as a source for Maharlika? Hindi dapat. Inassure ako kanina ng sponsors that they have already made the move na tanggalin din yung national budget as a source of fund. Hindi inapprove sa committee kanina, kaya yan yung isang babantayan ko na dapat yan talaga matanggal as a source of funding, yung national annual budget natin.
We have a lot to talk about, but thank you for your time and insights, Northern Samar 1st District Representative Paul Daza.